You said something about troop levels. Our policy is stand up, stand down. As the Iraqis stand up, we'll stand down. But if we stand down too soon, it won't enable us to achieve our objectives. And we will support this Iraqi government. That's what I want to tell them. We'll do what it takes to support them. And part of that support is the presence of coalition forces.
Thank you, Mr. President. You expressed serious concern when you learned about the Guantanamo suicides, and you and your aides immediately called allies. I'm wondering, how concerned are you about the U.S. image abroad based on this incident and the ongoing investigation in Haditha and Abu Ghraib and other incidents? Yeah. And also, why shouldn't Guantanamo be closed now?
I'd like to close Guantanamo. But I also recognize that that we hold in some people that are darn dangerous, and that we better have a plan to deal with them in our courts. And the best way to handle, in my judgment, handle these types of people is through our military courts. And that's why we're waiting on the Supreme Court to make a decision. Part of closing Guantanamo is to send some folks back home, like we've been doing. And the State Department's in the process of encouraging, countries to take the folks back. Of course, sometimes we get criticized for sending some people out of Guantanamo back to their home country because of the nature of the home country. It's a little bit of a catch-22. But we're working through this. No question, Guantanamo sends a signal to some of our friends. It provides an excuse, for example, to say the United States is not upholding the values that they're trying to encourage other countries to adhere to. And my answer to them is that we are a nation of laws and rule of law. These people picked up off the battlefield, and they're very dangerous. And so we have that balance between customary justice, the typical system, and one that will be done in the military courts, and that's what we're waiting for. Eventually, these people will have trials, and they will have counsel, and they will be represented in a court of law. I say these people, those who are not sent back to their mother countries. We've sent a lot of people home already. I don't think the American people know that, nor do the citizens of some of the countries that are concerned about Guantanamo. You mentioned Abu Ghraib, no question. It's set a terrible example. It was I was asked in a press conference in the East Room with Tony Blair, mistakes. Abu Ghraib was a terrible mistake. I was asked that question, by the way, about Abu Ghraib, the very same question you asked, by a member of the Iraqi cabinet. And I told her, I said that where there's allegations, we will investigate. And I reminded her that ours is a transparent society where people will see and follow these investigations. And people will be held to account according to our laws. But I also want the people to understand here and around the world that 99.9% of our troops are honorable, decent people who are serving our country under difficult conditions, and I'm proud of them. I'm proud of the United States military. And that's a message our military and their families must consistently hear. That they're doing fine work. I understand the politics and all that. But I'm going to continue to remind them that, set politics aside, this nation owes you a debt of gratitude. So we'll deal with these incidents, and we'll deal with them in an upfront way. And but I'm not going to let these incidents stain the reputation of our military. They're good people. They really are. Yes, sir. Roger.
Thank you, sir.
Roger.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, you've said that you trust the markets to guide you, but stock and bond markets are telling us that inflation is a growing concern. Is there a threat that inflation is going to derail the economic expansion?
There are a lot of indicators about the strength of our economy, starting with job creation, productivity increases, the entrepreneurial spirit is strong. There's a lot of positive things. And obviously, the Fed is watching the signals for inflation very carefully. They'll make decisions independent of the White House. On fiscal policy, though, I would strongly urge the Congress to recognize why we have grown the way we have grown, why we've got strong economic growth in the first quarter of this year, why we've added over 5 million new jobs in a in two and three quarters years, and that's because the tax cuts are working, and they need to make the tax cuts permanent. Pro-growth economic policies work, and that's why I've been calling for permanence in the tax code. And so, there will be, monetary policy will pay attention very carefully to signs, inflationary signs. That's Ben Bernanke's job. Our job is to work with Congress to have wise fiscal policy, and wise fiscal policy means not only keeping revenues low, but it also means being wise about how we spend the people's money. I called Chairman Lewis this morning to congratulate him on getting a good supplemental out of the House of Representatives. It's a supplemental that meets our numbers and meets the requirements for a good bill. And evidently it's going to be voted on in the Senate here pretty quick, and I look forward to signing that piece of legislation should it make it to my desk. Let's see here. Jake Tapper. Yeah, filling in, huh? I'm doing all right. Thank you. A little jet lagged. As I'm sure you can imagine, nearly 60.
I can, sir. Thank you.
Good. I'm not sure you possibly can empathize, but nevertheless, I don't...
Jet lag. I understand jet lag.
Okay, good, yeah.
What are your feelings about discussions in the new Iraqi government of amnesty for insurgents and regarding the oil resources in Iraq that you discussed? Do you support guaranteeing the Sunnis a percentage of the oil profits either through a new law or through a constitutional provision?
Yeah, that's a not a bad question for a substitute guy. I believe that that the Iraqi government, first of all, the decision on what to do with their resources is their decision, not mine. And so this is advisory. These are people that are elected and under a constitution. My advice to them is to use their energy assets as a way to unite the country. And by that I mean that people will have they may not have oil resources in their provinces, but will have a stake in how the resources are developed elsewhere in the country. One option I laid out the other day for them to consider, I must confess this is probably the best way to convince a government to do something, is to put it out through the press. But I did suggest a royalty trust on behalf of the Iraqi people. Other countries have tried that. The state of Alaska has tried that. To me, it's an interesting idea for them to consider, to basically say that no matter where you live in the country, you have a stake in the future of your country because of your ownership in energy assets. Other part of the question?
Amnesty for insurgents.
Yeah. I talked to the Prime Minister about his question is possible amnesty. The Prime Minister, I think, would say reconciliation. This is an issue that is on the minds of a lot of the folks there in Iraq. In other words, they're trying to figure out, how to reconcile an ugly past with a hopeful future, and part of that is reconciliation. I'm not exactly sure how you would what you mean by if somebody's committed a crime. I don't know whether or not they'll be that lenient, frankly, but I do recognize that. They recognize that, for example, Ba'ath Party membership in order to secure a job or to be able to get an advanced degree should be shouldn't be held against a person. And I think they're willing to balance the difference between terror and expediency in the right word, but terror and a membership of a party to advance one's life. And I was impressed. I was impressed by their the sophisticated nature of that discussion and their recognition that it's really important to do the best they can to reconcile the past. One of the things I was looking for was, first of all, I'm convinced this government will succeed. And one of the reasons I am is because there's a sense of hopefulness. If you're a person stuck in the past, you tend to be bitter and look for ways to seek revenge. I didn't sense that. I did have a strong sense that they're really happy to get rid of Saddam Hussein to a person. They believed he wrecked their country in more ways than one. It was clear he wrecked their infrastructure. And it is clear that he wrecked a lot of lives. But I didn't have that great sense of, people being so bound up in bitterness that they weren't willing to think positively about the future, and I think that's important. I really do. Gregory, fine-looking scarf. Not scarf, what do you call that thing?
Thank you very much.
It's strong. No.
Thank you. Mr. President, you made a public point recently of soliciting outside advice about the way forward in Iraq and retooling your strategy. I wonder what idea from a critic or somebody outside your administration that you've concluded should be part of the strategy going forward.
Well, I think I've gotten a lot of advice from people. One of the interesting debates from the outside community is troop levels. I've got people say you need to increase the number of forces. Now, I've gotten people that said, well, the role of the United States ought to be more indirect than it has been. In other words, in a supporting role. To those folks, I said, look, I'm going to rely upon General Casey. But I did share with him the philosophies that were reflected in a conversation we had over lunch at Camp David. I've had people come in and say, you better make sure that the Iraqi forces are well-tooled to do their job. In other words, there's people have gone over there and taken a hard look, have felt like that the Iraqi forces were not equipped well enough to be able to stand up as we stand down. I asked that question to General Casey, and the area where he agrees with the critics is that they don't quite have the capability to move themselves around the country. In other words, they need more mobility. And he recognizes that and is working toward an Iraqi army that has more mobility. Obviously, there's been criticism about our reconstruction plan that we started with big projects that were sometimes blown up or sometimes didn't get off the ground like we hoped. And that's why we morphed a lot of our aid into a PRT approach, where local commanders had the capacity to get money out more quickly. But I appreciate people's advice, and I appreciate their candor. I am going to meet this afternoon with a group of folks put together by the Peace Institute that are going to take a look at Iraq. And the reason I bring that up to you is that it's important for people to share their advice with this administration. This is an important business, and it's not easy. It's a complex task to help a society go from tyranny to freedom. But the American people have got to understand, I believe we're going to succeed. That's why we're there. And my message to the Iraqis is we're going to help you succeed. My message to the enemy is don't count on us leaving before we succeed. My message to our troops is we support you 100%. Keep doing what you're doing. And my message to the critics is that we listen very carefully and adjust when needed to adjust. This policy will be driven by the people on the ground. Those are the folks who are going to ultimately make the recommendation that I'll accept. It's important to get advice. I share the advice with our commanders and with Zoll. They're the folks who are right there. These are very competent, capable people who understand the Iraqi situation well. And their judgment is important. And I listen very carefully to it along the same line. Cheryl, yeah, welcome. Got a couple of newcomers today sitting next to Tapper.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm pleased to be here. Mr. President, polls show that the public thinks Democrats can do a better job of running the country than Republicans. Are you concerned that Republicans will lose control of Congress in November? And do you think there's anything you could have done differently to put them in a better position coming up in the midterms?
I remember 2004, at one point, people, you'd have stood up and said, there's no way you can get reelected if you'd have been listening to those polls. I can't remember. I probably was down double digits at some point. And they say, how can you possibly stand here and tell us you're going to get reelected? Listen, the elections are a long way off. What's going to matter is who's got the plan that will enable us to succeed in Iraq and keep the economy growing. And I look forward to the campaign. And I believe we're going to hold the House and the Senate, because our philosophy is one that is forward-looking and optimistic and has worked. We got a record to run on. There's an interesting debate in the Democrat Party about how quick to pull out of Iraq. Pulling out of Iraq before we accomplish the mission will make the world a more dangerous place. It's bad policy. I know it may sound good politically. It'll endanger our country to pull out of Iraq before we accomplish the mission. See, Iraq is a part of the global war on terror. It's not the global war on terror. It's a theater in the global war on terror. And if we fail in Iraq, it's going to embolden al-Qaeda types. It'll weaken the resolve of moderate nations to stand up to these Islamic fascists. It'll cause people to lose their nerve and not stay strong. And so I look forward to taking the debate. That's not quite right. Kind of getting warmed up as a result of your question. The timing's not right for me to get out there yet. But I think the Democrat economic policy of raising people's taxes isn't going to work either. Now, I know they'll couch it in all kinds of language, but really what they're saying is we're going to raise your taxes. And so, you know, Cheryl, thanks for your question. I don't necessarily buy your premise. I feel confident we will hold the House and the Senate. Let's see here. Peter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, when you ran for office for the first time, you said you would hold the White House to a higher ethical standard. Even if Karl Rove did nothing illegal, I wonder whether you can say now whether you approve of his conduct in the CIA leak episode, and do you believe he owes Scott McClellan or anyone else an apology for misleading them?
I appreciate the job that the prosecutor did. Thought he conducted himself well in this investigation. He took a very thorough, long look at allegations and rumors, and I obviously, along with others in the White House, took a sigh of relief when he made the decision he made. And now we're going to move forward. And I trust Karl Rove, and he's an integral part of my team. There's an ongoing trial, Peter, and I know the temptation is, not the temptation, I mean, you'll keep asking questions during the course of the trial. We're not going to comment beyond that. Thank you. Yeah. Jim Axelrod.
Good morning, Mr. President. You seem quite energized by this moment of opportunity.
No, I'm just fighting off fatigue.
Know the feeling, sir. I'm wondering, though, if there are ever moments of doubt about your decisions and strategy in Iraq. Do you ever have a moment where you feel this just won't end well, that no matter how many Zarqawis are killed, the insurgents are just never going to give up?
Well, one of the reasons I went to Iraq was to be able to sit down with an Iraqi government to determine whether or not they have the will to succeed. Success in Iraq depends upon the Iraqis. If the Iraqis don't have the will to succeed, they're not going to succeed. We can have all the will we want. You know, I can have all the confidence in the ability for us to, bring people to justice. But if they choose not to make the hard decisions and to implement a plan, they're not going to make it. And so one of the things I went to Iraq to do was to, as best I possibly can, expel any doubt in my mind as to whether or not we have a partner that is going to do the hard work. One of the interesting things that, and by the way, I believe we will have a partner to do the hard work. I made it clear to the government there that it's up to them to succeed. It's really up to them to put a plan in place and execute it. We'll help, but they were elected by the people. They're living under a constitution that the people endorsed, and they have to follow through. And that's why I was most interested in hearing the Prime Minister's plans on electricity and energy and security. As I mentioned to you, there's an operation now going on in Baghdad that he helped put together, that we're helping him on. He recognizes that the capital city of a country sends important signals to the rest of the country, the security of the capital city, to the country and the world. He knows that. And that's why he has worked out a robust plan with our help. And so doubts about whether or not this government has got the will to go forward was expelled. That's why I went. In other words, sitting here in America, wondering whether or not these people got what it takes is can create uncertainty. I've eliminated that uncertainty. I was able to sit with the man and talk to him. I was also pleased to meet with his cabinet. You might remember, wasn't all that long ago, there were some doubts in people's minds as to whether or not this government had the capacity to put a unity government. As a matter of fact, there was doubts after the first election as to whether or not a portion of the population would even participate in the elections. And, last December, a lot of folks voted from all different aspects of society, and the government reflects that. And that was important for me to see firsthand as well. The enemy has an advantage in this war because they can get on our TV screens every day. And of course it upsets me when I see the loss of innocent life, and it upsets me to know that our service men and women are losing their lives. I mean, it's, I'm like most Americans. Death affects my way of thinking. But I also understand the stakes of this war. Okay? I understand how important it is to defeat the enemy. I recognize some in the country don't feel that same sense of urgency I do. But Al-Qaeda's real. Their philosophy is a real philosophy. They have ambitions. Their stated goal is to drive us out of Iraq before a government can defend itself and govern itself and sustain itself, so they can have safe haven from which to launch further attacks. And my most important job is to protect the American people from harm. And I understand the stakes of this war. And I understand this battlefront in Iraq. And I want to repeat something. Iraq is not the only part of this war. It's an essential part. But it's not the only part of the war on terror. And so decisions I make are all aimed at protecting the American people and understanding the vast stakes involved. If the United States of America leaves before this Iraqi government can defend itself and sustain itself and govern itself, it'll be a major blow in the war on terror. Al-Qaeda will benefit. And make no mistake about it, they still want to do innocent people harm. Whether it be in the Middle East or whether it be here in the United States of America. The stakes are high in Iraq. And my trip over there gave me confidence that we have a partner that is capable of setting priority and developing a plan to meet those priorities and then following through to see that those priorities are met. And my assurance is to him, where you get good plans and you have the desire to follow through, we'll help you. We'll help you. We will do what it takes to help you succeed. It's in our national interest to do so. Let's see here. Brett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could you characterize the worry you heard from Iraqi leaders about U.S. troop levels that you first mentioned on the flight home from Iraq? And here in the Rose Garden a week ago, you said Zarqawi's death is an opportunity for Iraq's new government to turn the tide in this struggle. After your visit, do you truly believe that the tide is turning in Iraq?
First part of the question? Sorry. Yeah. No question there are concerns about whether or not the United States will stand with this government. And I can understand why. You know, ours is a society that encourages debate, and people are free to express themselves, and they do so. They say, look, this is my view of how we ought to go forward. You know, this is what I think. And, the willingness of some to say that if we're in power, we'll withdraw on a set timetable concerns people in Iraq, because they understand our coalition forces provide a sense of stability so they can address old wrongs and develop their strategy and plan to move forward. They need our help, and they recognize that. That's what, and so they are concerned about that. And I'm concerned that an enemy will hear the wrong message. And then I'm also concerned that there are people inside Iraq who have yet to make up their mind as to whether or not they want to help this government succeed, or maybe, just maybe, America will lose its nerve, and therefore something else, a new team may show up. And so I made it very clear to the Iraqis, and I'm going to make it clear to them again right here, that we'll stay with them and help them succeed. And I know there's a lot of discussion about troop levels. Those troop levels will be decided upon by General Casey. He will make the recommendations in consultation with an Iraqi government. But whatever decision General Casey makes, the message is going to be, we stand with you. In other words, if you're more capable, it requires less troops, but nevertheless, we're still with you. Other part? Yeah, I think tide turning, as I remember, I was raised in the desert, but tides kind of it's easy to see a tide turn. Did I say those words? Yeah, I probably ought to then reflect on those words and think that I sense something different happening in Iraq. The progress will be steady toward a goal that is clearly been defined. Now, in other words, I hope there's not an expectation from people that all of a sudden there's going to be zero violence. In other words, it's not going to be the case. On the other hand, I do think we'll be able to measure progress. You can measure progress in capacity of Iraqi units. You can measure progress in megawatts of electricity delivered. You can measure progress in terms of oil sold on the market on behalf of the Iraqi people. There's ways to determine whether or not this government's plans are succeeding. And but I know there's a tangible difference between the government that's now in place and previous governments. And the reason why is because this is a government that's formed under elections and a constitution. And it's a unity government. And so people have a sense of, they're pulling for their government to succeed. And the reason why is, by far the vast majority of Iraqis want a normal life. They want their children to be able to go out in the street and play. They want there to be a good education system. They want to be able to have their business, their little storefront business flourish without fear of bombing. That's what they want. And so they're pulling for this government to succeed. And it's a government that they elected. It's not a government that we appointed. It's a government that they elected. They have a vital stake in the future of this government. And so there is a noticeable change. And whoever said it's a tide turning and all that needs to... Never mind. Elaine.
Thank you, Mr. President. What kind of signal do you think it sends to the Iraqi people that your administration notified the leader of Iraq's sovereign government only 5 minutes beforehand of your arrival? And was there a specific security concern about either Prime Minister Maliki's inner circle or others that led you to make that decision?
No, I think look, it's a security concern because I'm a high-value target for some, and Iraq's a dangerous place, and the American people got to know that I will take precautions when I travel somewhere. I'm not going to put our government at risk to achieve a very important trip, and therefore a lot of people didn't know about it. Half my cabinet didn't know about it. Does that mean I'm going to run them off? No. It's just we want to make sure we're extra secret about this deal. And the reason why is Iraq's dangerous. It's a dangerous place. And I think if there was ample notification that I was coming, perhaps would have given somebody a chance to plan. And we just don't want to take that risk. And so, there's no question about Prime Minister Maliki's. Well, when he walked in, I didn't fear. I was happy to see him, and he was happy to see me. But you should expect the president to take precaution. I take precaution when I go somewhere here in the United States. Obviously not to that extent, but nevertheless we're careful, and that's what the people expect us to be careful. And I appreciate the efforts that went into this trip. There are a lot of people that worked hard to make sure this worked, and it worked well. It's a good trip, and it was an exciting trip, by the way. I was up there in the cockpit of that airplane coming into Baghdad, watching Colonel Tillman steer us in. It was unbelievable feeling. And walking in that ballroom there in Saddam's old palace to see our people on the front lines of changing history was an exciting moment for me. It's a thrill to be able to shake their hands and look them in the eye and tell them America appreciates what they're doing. I really appreciate the fact that I was able to go, and no matter how secret it was. McKinnon.
Thank you, sir. You just mentioned that you think the United States will be able to measure progress in terms of electricity and oil and violence, and I'm wondering if you can say how you're going to measure that in terms of time. In other words, are you going to put a 6-month time frame on this or a 12-month time frame on this?
John, I know, look, I understand the pressures to put timetables out there on everything. And my answer to you is that we will work with the Iraqi government to do what's realistic. And the people on the ground will help me understand what is realistic. We will know whether or not the government is capable of following through because we're going to help them follow through. The answer to electricity is sooner the better. It's hot over there. And it'd be helpful if people had, the capacity to cool their homes. It'd be a pretty good signal that the government is making a difference in somebody's life. There are certain projects that are easier to achieve than others. Fixing the infrastructure of the northern Iraq oil fields is going to be more difficult to do. It's old, it's tired, it's been destroyed by an enemy, and it's going to take a while to get that done. So we've got to be realistic with this government. But nevertheless, I do believe that it makes sense to develop with them benchmarks so we can measure progress. And once those are in place, and to the extent they are, we'd be glad to share them with you. This is part of my visit yesterday was a strategy session to sit down with a partner, the Prime Minister, a Maliki, to figure out how to move forward, to listen to his plans and how we can help his plans. The important thing for me to hear from him is, here's what I intend to do, he says. Not, here's what we want you to do, like the oil suggestion. I really meant what I said. It was just a suggestion. It wasn't, you must do this. And same with electricity. And he made a point to have his electricity minister brief my cabinet, because he wanted us to know that he has a plan to put in place. The guy, by the way, said, I need your help. And we'll provide the help as best as we can. But, the ultimate judge about whether this government is making a difference is going to be the Iraqi people. And these elected officials know that. That's the great thing about being elected. You get a sense if people don't kind of like what you're doing or not. And democracy causes you to respond to the people's needs. Tyrants don't have to. They don't have to. Sometimes they may have to, but they always have got a kind of a interesting way of helping suppress dissent. This elected government is going to have to respond to the people, and that's a big change. Remember that Saddam did a really good job of milking the society to keep himself in power. In other words, the infrastructure is destroyed, or a lot of it's destroyed and dilapidated. We heard that over and over again in Baghdad. People said, you got to understand how backward we are compared to where we want to be. And he divided society and pitted people against each other in order to justify his own presence. And we're having to deal with that. The Iraqis are having to deal with that. And I was impressed by their willingness to be upfront about the past. And it's going to be difficult work, no question about it. There are still resentments and bitterness and people wondering, does the future belong to them? Sunni population. I was impressed, by the way, by the speaker. Denny Hester told me I'd like him. Denny met with him. And I was impressed by him. He's a fellow that had been put in prison by Saddam and, interestingly enough, put in prison by us. And he made a decision to participate in the government. And he was an articulate person. And he talked about running the parliament. It was interesting to see a person that could have been really bitter talk about the skills he's going to need to bring people together to run the parliament. And I found him to be a hopeful person. They tell me that he wouldn't have taken my phone call a year ago. I think I might have shared this with you at one point in time. And there I was sitting next to the guy. And I think he enjoyed it as much as I did. It was a refreshing moment. And the deputy speaker was there as well. Let's see here. Ann.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday, while you were gone, Senator Kerry, who was your challenger in the last election...
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. He said he now regrets his votes on the war. Actually, I think Senator Clinton at the same meeting actually heard some boos when she said that she did not support a timetable for withdrawal. Do you see, as some of your critics do, a parallel between what's going on in Iraq now and Vietnam?
No.
Why?
Because there's a duly elected government. 12 million people voted. They said, we want something different from tyranny. We want to live in a free society. And not only did they vote for a government, they voted for a constitution. Obviously, there is sectarian violence, but this is in many ways religious in nature, and I don't see the parallels. And look, I thought you were going to ask, do I regret what I did? Absolutely not. I made the right decision in Iraq. It's the right thing to get rid of Saddam Hussein. And now it's the right thing to stand with this government when they build a new democracy. And I reminded the Iraqi people their democracy doesn't have to look like us. It's their country. And the government ought to reflect their traditions and their history. All we expect is people to be treated with respect and there to be self-governance in a way that tolerates differences of opinion. Yeah. Peter, are you going to ask that question with those shades on? No, I'm interested in the shade look, seriously.
All right, I'll keep it then.
For the viewers, there's no sun.
I guess it depends on your perspective.
Touche.
Following up on the other Peter's question about Karl Rove.
Yeah.
You said you were relieved with what happened yesterday. But the American public, over the course of this investigation, has learned a lot about what was going on in your White House that they didn't know before during that time, the way some people were trying to go after Joe Wilson in some ways. I'm wondering if, over the course of this investigation, you've learned anything that you didn't know before about what was going on in your administration, and do you have any work to do to rebuild credibility that might have been lost?
I think that, first of all, the decision by the prosecutor speaks for itself. He had a full investigation. Karl Rove went in front of the grand jury, I don't remember, a lot of times, more times than you know, where they took a hard look at his role. Secondly, I told the other Peter, and I'm going to tell you, that there's an ongoing trial. It's a serious business, and I've made the comments I'm going to make about this incident, and I'm going to put this part of the situation behind us and move forward. Let's see here. Yeah, sure. Richard?
Mr. President, the death of Zarqawi and the formation of the new government in Iraq has given you a chance to re-engage the American people on Iraq. A majority of people still say that the war was a mistake. Do you think that the people have turned off on Iraq, or that you think they're still winnable back to consider that it was worth it?
I think the people want to know, can we win? They want to know. Listen, admittedly, there are a group of people in our country that say it wasn't worth it, get out now. And that opinion's being expressed. As these campaigns start approaching, you'll hear more people say, I suspect, it's a mistake, Bush shouldn't have done what he did, pull out. And that's a legitimate debate to have in America. And I look forward to the debate. I will remind the American people, if we pull out before we achieve our objective, the world will be a lot more dangerous. And America will be more at risk. Then there are some in the country that say, we understand the stakes, but do they have a plan to win? Can they possibly win? And I will continue to explain to the American people, winning means a government that can sustain itself, defend itself, and govern itself, and an ally in the war on terror, and we will help this government do that. And one of the reasons I went to Iraq was to determine whether or not we have a partner which is capable of making the tough decisions necessary to achieve our objective. The American people have got to understand that Iraq is a part of the war on terror. Now, Richard, I fully understand how people might have made the decision that America is no longer under threat, or the lessons of September the 11th were just momentary lessons. I can understand that. But I have a responsibility to lay out what I believe. And the lessons learned from September the 11th are still a very integral part of my thinking. And I'll continue to make decisions based upon the lessons. And I know there is an international jihadist movement that desires to do us harm, and they have territorial ambitions. The reason I know that is that's what they've told us. And part of their territorial ambition is to have safe haven in Iraq. That's what they've said. That's what the enemy has clearly said. And it seems like to me that the commander-in-chief ought to listen to what the enemy says. And they believe capitalist and democratic societies are soft, and it's a matter of time before we pull out. And that's why one message that I will continue to send to the enemy is, don't count on us leaving before the mission is complete. Don't bet on it. Don't bet on American politics forcing my hand, because it's not going to happen. I'm going to make decisions not based upon politics, but what's based upon what's best for the United States of America. But I understand why people, Richard, are concerned, because progress is hard to see. You know, it's one thing to say, you know, we got Zarqawi, that's progress. It's another thing to say, I met with the man and I believe he can make the right decisions. And so somebody's going to say, sure, well, show me. And I understand that. And I understand how tough it is for the American people to reconcile death on their TV screens with the president saying we're making incremental progress toward an important goal. But what I hope they understand is how important it is we succeed in Iraq. That the country is more dangerous if we don't, the world is more dangerous if we don't succeed. And so I'm going to keep talking about it, and talking about it because I believe passionately we're doing the right thing. And I've told the American people this. If I didn't think we could succeed, and if I didn't think it was worth it, I'd pull our troops out. And I mean that. And one reason I went to Iraq yesterday, no matter how secretive the trip was to get a first-hand feel for how those people are thinking over there. Now, what are they like? I understand, you know, leadership. Leadership requires determination. You got to be determined to do something in order to be able to lead, particularly in difficult circumstances. You got to have will. You know, you got to have desire to succeed. And you got to have a plan. And that's what I found in Iraq. It's really important that the Iraqi people have no doubt in their mind that we will help this government succeed. It's important for them to understand that. And I know there's going to be different voices, and there should be different voices out of America. That's where we're great. That's what makes us interesting and great. People can say whatever they want to say as they try to attract votes. But my voice, what you hear from me, no matter what these polls and all the business look like, is that it's worth it, it is necessary, and we will succeed. Thank you all very much.
The president completing his 26th news conference, talking to the press for just a little bit less than an hour, taking 14 questions by my count, 10 of them directly applying to Iraq and a couple indirectly to Iraq. So obviously that's the subject on everybody's mind, particularly after the president's trip and what was a two-day summit meeting or sort of war council that the president held at Camp David, and then in Iraq itself with him making his surprise trip. And obviously the president trying to capitalize on what it is fair to say the administration considers to be some momentum that they have gathered in trying to turn around public attitudes on the war and expressing support for the Iraqi government, hoping that the United States will indeed feel the same way, that we can give the Iraqi government some time to get its feet, to begin operating, to supply services to the people of Iraq, and to giving Iraq the kind of stability that the president hopes will result there. ABC's Jake Tapper, you saw at the news conference, the president did, I think, his best to give Jake Tapper a raise during the news conference, praising Jake in his questions, he filling in for Martha Raddatz there at the White House. But Jake, what struck you?
What struck me the most was the president's comment that progress is hard to see. Obviously, the president is going on a PR offensive and talking about how this is in the hands of the Iraqi people. He talked about his meeting with the new Prime Minister, Nouri al-Maliki, and Maliki's plans for Iraq in terms of security, in terms of the economy, in terms of the international community. But what was most stark was his acknowledgement that while the American people might not be behind the war, that's because this is a very, very long process. In fact, he distanced himself from comments he made last week when the president said that the tide is turning. He said that perhaps he should rethink those remarks because obviously this is not going to be something that changes like that.
And one other interesting thing I thought, Jake, is that I'm now seeing a pattern. The questions on troop withdrawal, eventual troop withdrawals continue to come. They're going to continue to come in future weeks, no matter how much the president addresses it. But it seems now he's going to have a constant refrain here in saying our pledge to the Iraqi people is we won't leave until it is proper for us to leave. The stand-up, stand-down issue. He's going to say we want confidence in the Iraqi people that we are there to stay the course, and that's the way he's going to address the troop withdrawal issue.
That's right, and in fact, the president discussed potentially the message for the November midterm elections, which was that the Republican Party has a plan to win in Iraq, and he said very starkly that the idea of leaving, of a premature withdrawal, of premature troop withdrawals, that is a bad message for the Iraqi people, the Iraqi government, and it sends the wrong message to the insurgents in Iraq, he made it very clear that that would be a campaign message. He also took a swipe at the Democrats, saying that the Democrats were going to raise taxes, a perennial favorite, of course.
Always swipes at the Democrats. It wouldn't be a presidential news conference if there weren't a Republican presidential news conference. Robin?
But it was powerful to hear him say that we will not leave until the mission has been completed. Of course, there's an operation that is now underway, Operation Together Forward, providing coalition forces working alongside with your Iraqi forces there in Baghdad to try and stop the insurgency there. Miguel Marquez is there in Baghdad, and it was just day one, but did you notice any difference with under Operation Together Forward, Miguel?
There hasn't been a lot of difference. There are a lot more checkpoints here. One thing that was interesting about what the president said is that we've been told over and again by the Iraqis that 75,000 troops were taking part in this. Today, the president laid out 56,200 troops that are part of this. So we're trying to figure out the discrepancy there and figure out exactly how long this Operation Together Forward will last. Robin?
Yeah, that's correct, because originally it was being reported 70,000, but by our count, it was just over 56,000 that would be committed for this operation.
Miguel, I'm interested. Do you think the president keeps saying we're going to stay? I want the new Iraqi government to understand we have full confidence in them. Do you think they really feel that?
They certainly feel that after yesterday, especially at the governmental level. The Iraqis that we talked to are somewhat more blasé about the situation. They see a lot of promises that have been made over the last 3 years from their own governments, interim governments, and from the United States government. They are not entirely certain that even if the United States government has its best interests in mind, that they can actually deliver on those promises. Charlie?
All right. Full reports on World News tonight. Good Morning America continues in some parts of the country. I'm Charles Gibson with Robin Roberts. Good day.
For continuing coverage of this story, stay with ABC News, abcnews.com, and ABC News Radio. This has been a special report from ABC News.
And I'm Charles Gibson, along with Robin Roberts. We interrupt ourselves, just having done a special report on the President's news conference in the Rose Garden. And obviously, Good Morning America is still on the air in the West Coast, so we're going to pick up the program sort of in midstream.
Yes, we will. So once again, we'll have something for the West Coast. Yesterday, we were interrupted as well. The president very busy, but he seemed very rejuvenated, a little fatigued from the trip to Baghdad and back. But we'll have plenty of Good Morning America ahead, so stay with us.
Every day I get in the queue to get on the bus that takes me to you. I don't want to cause no fuss.
The most usable interior space in its class. Next generation Nissan thinking in the next Nissan Quest.
My allergies can get so bad, I feel like I'm in a fog. But I'm the kind of person who wants to be focused. Now, I'm Claritin Clear. My doctor was the first one to recommend Claritin. It's the only one actually proven to make you as alert and focused as someone without allergies. Claritin relieves my sneezing and itchy eyes without making me drowsy. Got one at least. 24-hour non-drowsy Claritin. Live Claritin Clear.
I've lived here all my life. I'm not going anywhere. I've made arrangements for assistance if I need it. I'm a realist. I know I'll be old one day.
Long-term care coverage from Mutual of Omaha Insurance Company.
For every woman, there is that one color she looks best in. That's why Jergens Natural Glow Daily Moisturizer is now in 3 shades. So you can have the summer glow that looks best on you. Jergens, glowing skin is in.
Hi there. Bill, what are you doing here? Just thought I'd drop by with the terms of your refinancing. Well, actually, I'm refinancing at LendingTree.
You're choosing LendingTree over me?
Look, you're a good mortgage broker. But LendingTree has better service. They even have loan specialists to help me through the whole process.
But, Dad, I'm your son.
I know you are, Billy. I know.
Join the 18 million people getting a better loan at LendingTree. When banks compete, you win.
What's going on? It's Dreyer's Slow Churned Light Ice Cream.
Tastes just like regular.
Dreyer's slow churned. One day, all ice cream will be made this way.
At TNC Chevrolet, not one, but 37 Chevy Trailblazers are only $18,988. They're 4x4, fuel efficient, and loaded. Save with this special purchase offer. It's only at Town & Country Chevrolet in Milwaukee. Drive home happy.
Bathing suit season this year, so get ready with LA Weight Loss's 8-week body makeover.
20 pounds gone. 36 pounds. 29 pounds. 20 pounds in just 8 weeks. You could lose up to 4 dress sizes and 20 pounds in just 8 weeks. On LA's new 8-week program, you get everything that you need to succeed. Only 8 weeks. You've got to give it a try. Lose the weight. Make over your body.
For the center nearest you, call 1-866-485-SLIM.
At TNC Chevrolet, not one, but 37 Chevy Trailblazers are only $18,988. They're 4x4, fuel efficient, and loaded. Save with this special purchase offer. It's only at Town & Country Chevrolet in Milwaukee. Drive home happy.
Morning America on the West Coast. We haven't had a chance because of the President's news conference that took us through the beginning of the program. We haven't had a chance to catch up on the weather, so let's do that right away with Mike Barrs.
And good morning, both of you. We've been focusing so much on Tropical Depression Alberto over the past couple of days. Really haven't had a chance to focus on some of the other severe weather across the country, like the Northwest. Want to show you some video from yesterday from Spokane, Washington, where they got some heavy rains. And this is actually Interstate 90. A lot of roads were flooded out there. Heavy thunderstorms Tuesday morning caused flooding on area roads and even some mudslides. And it's not over. More rain in the forecast today across the country. Showers and thunderstorms forecast in much of the Northwest and the eastern northern Rockies and Plains. Some thunderstorms will bring hail, gusty winds, and isolated tornadoes from Montana into the Dakotas. Rain and flooding in the forecast from North Carolina to Virginia. And that's a brief look at the national picture. Here's what's happening near you.
Good morning, everyone. We're starting off with mostly cloudy skies and a few scattered showers, and it looks like most of the day is going to be this way with gray skies and just a chance of rain. The chance of rain increases overnight tonight and into tomorrow, but we could see a little bit of sunshine late tomorrow afternoon.
And this portion of weather brought to you by Band-Aid Plus antibiotic. I had to get that correct for you there, Charlie.
Band-Aid Plus antibiotic.
There you go.
We'll be back. Second hour coming up.
Coming up on Good Morning America, a story of two sisters. A deadly genetic disorder strikes a family not once but twice. How a medical miracle changed one sister's fate. Our special series, Leaving the Nest, tips to help your kids fly the coop and land on their feet. Expert advice every parent will want to hear.
Well, the technical term for what I do is neurosurgery. I am a brain doctor.
I'm a lifeguard. I save people.
I'm a race car driver. Formula 2. One.
Me, oh, I'm a hand model.
20 million? No, that's not enough.
I'm a big game hunter, cage fighter.
Lumberjack.
Must get lonely out there.
Yeah, well, I do have the dolphins. I'm an author. Mostly books.
You told my friend you were a lawyer.
In the off-season.
In 2 days.
Odie? Odie, no, don't do the ugly American thing. The British are coming, the British are coming.
Bill Murray as the voice of
Garfield?
Bingo. Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties.
Take the picture, take it, take it.
Rated PG, everywhere Friday.
Ask your doctor about Ambien CR, the latest Ambien. Then call for your 7-day free trial offer. Ambien CR is a controlled release formula, and it's the only sleep aid with 2 layers. One dissolves quickly to help you fall asleep fast. The other dissolves slowly to help you stay asleep, so you can wake up and get ready for your day. Ambien CR is a treatment option you and your doctor can consider along with lifestyle changes and can be taken for as long as your doctor recommends. Until you know how Ambien CR will affect you, you shouldn't drive or operate machinery. Be sure you're able to devote 7 to 8 hours to sleep before being active again. Side effects may include next-day drowsiness, dizziness, and headache. It's non-narcotic. However, like most sleep medicines, it has some risk of dependency. Don't take it with alcohol. Call today for your 7-day free trial offer of the latest Ambien, Ambien CR. And don't forget to mention the CR, a good night's sleep from start to finish.
Up in the closet, need new shirts. This one is all stained with dirt. Oh, 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 I need clothes. Oh, 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 buy me clothes. Up in the closet, quick, quick, quick. Some new polo should do the trick.
It's the season for dads at Sears.
Want the secret to healthy skin? It's just below the surface.
Introducing the newest Lubriderm Skin Nourishing Lotion with natural sea kelp extract. It helps dry skin absorb and retain moisture, so it's naturally healthy. New Lubriderm Skin Nourishing Lotion with sea kelp extract.
Planning a move? Then it's time to think about what you spend on communications and start saving with Quest. It's easy. Bundle with Quest and you get direct TV service with 100% digital quality on every channel. Plus a dedicated high-speed internet connection. And digital voice that's trusted and reliable. All for one great price. Call Quest before you move and compare, bundle, and save. That's our spirit of service.
The world's fastest cars, hottest drivers. We got it. The 3-day Festival of Speed. G.I. Joe's presents the Champ Car Grand Prix of Portland and hot nighttime fun events all over town. Father's Day weekend. We got it. Meet superstars Sebastian Bourdais, Paul Tracy, and the new stars of the Trinity Carpet 100K Atlantic Race. We got it. The hottest party in town, Champ Car World Series. Tickets on sale at all G.I. Joe's and Ticketmaster locations.
And when Good Morning America continues, our series Leaving the Nest to help your kids, when they fly the coop, some expert advice ahead.
Checking them out.
Thursday, June 22nd, ABC will boldly go where no competition has gone before. Master of Champions. Each week, contestants with amazing one-of-a-kind skills. Handstand sprints. Compete in outrageous events. Helicopter bottle opener. It's the most extreme, over-the-top, eye-opening show ever. Master of Champions. Premieres Thursday, June 22nd, only on ABC.
Advantage, CTS, for now. Cadillac, breakthrough. Visit your Northwest Cadillac dealer for this attractive offer.
Smokers, are you ready to quit smoking? Researchers at OHSU's Smoking Cessation Center are conducting a study on an experimental nicotine vaccine to see if it helps smokers quit. You will be asked questions regarding your eligibility for this study and a few questions for our ongoing research about smoking. All participants in the study will receive several injections of either a nicotine vaccine or an inactive placebo. You will have a 2 out of 3 chance of receiving the nicotine vaccine and a 1 out of 3 chance of receiving a placebo. Participants will also receive up to 5 stop smoking counseling sessions at no cost. If you're a smoker in good health, 18 years or older, and live within 30 miles of Portland, you may be eligible to participate. Call 503-494-0503 right now to see if you qualify. If you're ready to quit and willing to make a year-long commitment, don't wait another day. That number again is 503-494-0503. OHSU, where healing, teaching, and discovery come together.
For once-a-year-only savings on solid wood, cherry, maple, or oak furniture and custom upholstery, now's the time to buy it way below market prices at Showcase Furniture Gallery in Delta Park's Furniture Row and Showcase Furniture Gallery outlet on TV Highway in Hillsboro.
Life as a stay-at-home dad.
Today at 9.
Good morning. This is K2 News, the spirit of the Northwest.
Good morning, everyone. It's 7:58, and I'm Julia Radlick. Here is what's making news this morning. Great news for 2 fishermen missing in a rubber raft overnight on the Columbia River. They've been found safe on an island in the middle of the Columbia and picked up by the Coast Guard helicopter. The Coast Guard and Multnomah County's Marine Patrol had spent the night searching for the 2 men who had been missing for several hours. They were discovered on Reed Island about 5:30 this morning. Both men are in good health. A state employee looking at porn on his break has endangered the private information of nearly 2,000 Oregon taxpayers. The employee, who's since been fired, unknowingly downloaded a Trojan horse spyware, which copies the keystrokes, then sends it out to who knows where. Letters have been sent to affected taxpayers telling them what to do. It is time now to check on the morning commute. Here's Travis Demers with Beat the Traffic. Good morning, Travis.
Good morning. Lots of problems out there. An accident I-5 southbound on the interstate bridge is blocking the right lane, has traffic backed up to SR 500. As we take a look outside, we can see that fire truck is there blocking now the right and center lanes, and the backup now is back to SR 500. It's looking much better now, though, at Delta Park. Also an accident cleared 205 southbound and Killingsworth Street, still slow back to SR 500. Northbound on 205, slow from Lake Oswego, from 205 to Lake Oswego, and again Capitol Highway through the Terwilliger curves. As we look outside, we see the heavy traffic there, and the Banfield still about a 10 to 12-minute commute as you're coming in from the east side of town. That's a look at Beat the Traffic. Julia, back to you.
Thanks so much, Travis. Cloudy morning, a couple scattered showers around the area. Looks like that's going to be the trend throughout much of the afternoon. Currently 58 degrees in Portland. We should see a high of 68. And gradually increasing rain later on this evening. Light, steady rain possible overnight and tomorrow morning, but we should get a break late tomorrow afternoon, partly cloudy skies. But then tomorrow night, once again, more rain heads our way, but at this point, the weekend is looking dry.
That's a live shot of New York City.
Indeed.
Live.
Bustling it is. Good morning, America. And good morning particularly to all of you on the West Coast. It is Wednesday, June 14th, 2006.
It is Flag Day. Earlier he had his little flag out and waving it, but we took it away from
What
him.
happened to my little flag?
I
I had one of those 12 for a dollar flags.
It was really cute. Hate you missed it there on the West Coast. Diane Sawyer is on vacation this morning.
It's not a big budget show, so we didn't have one of those big flags, but it was still for Flag Day. Anyway, a few moments ago, the president, as you saw, wrapped up a news conference, his 26th. This one in the Rose Garden, calling his surprise trip to Baghdad inspiring, vowing to stand by the new Iraqi government. He says he wants the enemy to understand that we are not going to pull out prematurely. And he also said about the insurgency, quote, they are vulnerable following the death of Abu Musab al-Zarqawi.
And more about that. In the raids following al-Zarqawi's death, they uncovered intelligence that's helping track down those insurgents.
And an interesting admission, the president calling the expectation of zero violence in Iraq unreasonable. So what does this mean for U.S. troops? When will they come home? We're going to get into that in this hour.
And also ahead, GMA on call. This morning, a tale of two sisters. This is a story that really tugs at you. Both faced a rare and deadly genetic disease, and a medical miracle changed their family's fate, their emotional journey ahead.
And our series, Leaving the Nest, a statistic that caught our eye, more than half, 52%, of all 18 to 24-year-olds live at home with their parents, which raises the question, how do you help your kids strike out on their own, or do you have to kick them out? We'll have some expert tips to help parents ease that transition. All ahead, but first, Good Morning America weekend anchor Kate Snow has the news of the morning. Kate?
Charlie and Robin, good morning. Good morning, everyone. President Bush is praising the Iraqi government this morning, just hours after returning from his surprise visit to Baghdad. ABC's Jake Tapper is at the White House, where the president just wrapped up that news conference. Jake, good morning.
Good morning, Kate. Well, it was a note of cautious optimism by the president. He did say that progress in Iraq is hard to see, but he reiterated his commitment to winning the war in Iraq.
Good morning. Thank you. Death on their TV screens with the president saying we're making incremental progress toward an important goal. But what I hope they understand is how important it is we succeed in Iraq. That the country is more dangerous if we don't, the world is more dangerous if we don't succeed.
The president did change his rhetoric a bit. He's now talking more about the war being in the hands of the Iraqi people. He discussed his first meeting with the new Prime Minister, Nouri al-Maliki, and al-Maliki's plans for security, for the economy, and to get the international community to pay all of the $13 billion in commitments that they have pledged. The president has discussed in many ways the way how important it is to win this war, and he said he would use this against the Democrats in November. Kate?
Jake Tapper at the White House this morning. Thank you. Meanwhile, in Baghdad, demonstrators hit the streets in droves to protest the president's visit yesterday and the U.S. presence in Iraq. And in Basra, angry protesters set fire to the Iranian consulate, raising security concerns in that city of 2 million people. A court date this morning for the wife of a murdered Tennessee minister, Mary Winkler, is expected to plead not guilty in the shooting death of her husband, Matthew. The mother of 3 was indicted this week for premeditated murder. Investigators say Winkler confessed to the killing, but her defense may hinge on her mental state. No motive has been announced, but there is speculation Winkler may have been suffering from postpartum depression. A guilty plea from Rhode Island Democratic Congressman Patrick Kennedy. Kennedy says he was driving under the influence of prescription drugs when he crashed his car near the Capitol last month. He was sentenced to drug treatment and 50 hours of community service. Kennedy returned to Congress last week after nearly a month in rehab. At an L.A. hospital today, doctors begin trying to separate 10-month-old conjoined twins. Regina and Renata Fierros are identical twins. They were born connected from the midsection down. Two teams of doctors expect the marathon surgery to last about 24 hours. We wish them the best of luck. And finally, at long last, Josephine Velasco is graduating from a San Francisco high school today. She's 98. She last attended school in 1924, but dropped out to take care of her sister. And since then, she's worked. She raised a family. She always had one regret, though. Today, she's going to get that diploma, along with classmates 80 years her junior. And that is the news at 8:04. Time now for the weather and Mike Bars. Mike.
There's a lot of experience to draw upon. We've been talking about Alberto, and it has weakened into a tropical depression. I want to show you the satellite radar animation because it's still going to affect portions of the Carolinas as it moves through South Carolina this morning, and certainly Virginia, and it's going to continue to move out and move ashore later on today. Thankfully, it never got to hurricane strength and still brought heavy rain and some tornadoes to the region. The Northwest also under clouds this morning, showers and thunderstorms. Most of the remainder of the nation is cloud-free, however. Another hot day temperature-wise in the Southwest. Look at this, a heat advisory in effect once again for Phoenix, where the temperature is expected to reach 108 degrees. In contrast, cooler than normal day in the Northwest. Boise up to 67 today, Seattle 63, and pleasant 70s are forecast from the Midwest into the Northeast. So take a look at the outlook and some rains up in the Pacific Northwest. Once again, some of them severe in the northern plains, and in the Northeast, you'll see some more rain, scattered showers today. And that's a brief look at the national picture. Here's what's happening near you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Julia Radlick. We're going to see a very gray day here in the Northwest. We're starting off with a few scattered showers, but that's about it. We do have a warm front that's offshore, and that's going to move in later on today. So most of the day will be fairly dry, but then we'll start to see some showers develop later on in the afternoon and early evening. We'll reach a high of 68 degrees today. Light, steady rain overnight tonight, very light rain. 5-day forecast and 10-day trend showing a few showers tomorrow morning. We may get a break in the afternoon tomorrow afternoon, but then more rain heads our way late tomorrow night and into Friday.
Is both afflicted with a rare genetic condition called Pompe disease. For years, no hope for those facing the disease, but recently, the FDA approved the first ever treatment, a medical breakthrough that changed one family's fate. Dr. Tim Johnson has her story.
This is a tale of life, love, and the extraordinary bonds of sisterhood. Little Megan and Kelsey were sisters, but never really got the chance to know each other. A deadly disease would disrupt both their lives. One would get a chance at life, the other would not.
You just keep on holding on. You just keep hoping, because without that, then, there's nothing there.
Kelsey was Deb and Greg Osnick's first child, born 8 years before Megan.
We noticed that she was behind, that she was delayed, but it was always on the later end of what all the other kids are doing.
Doctors found that Kelsey had an enlarged heart, and more tests led to the diagnosis of a rare and fatal disorder called Pompe disease. The disease weakens the body's muscles, including the heart.
Sugars that usually are used for energy build up inside the cells and cause weakness in the muscle.
But in 1994, there was no treatment for Kelsey or other kids like her. Most children with this diagnosis didn't live past infancy.
For these children, really all that could be done was to try to maximize their quality of life until they died.
It was just waiting. You just had to wait.
Kelsey lived at home on a ventilator, her muscles slowly deteriorating. She never walked, but she was a fighter and lived well beyond doctors' expectations. Soon, Deb and Greg had 3 more children, Tyler, Hope, and little Megan. Then, more terrible news. An enlarged heart showed that 6-week-old Megan also had Pompe disease. Just a few months later, sister Kelsey passed away at age 9.
And that Sunday, we disconnected her from her trach. And that was very difficult.
But in an incredible twist of fate, the Ossinks learned from friends at Kelsey's funeral that baby Megan would be eligible for an experimental treatment called Myozyme, the first of its kind.
We went from losing our daughter to getting a daughter back. So, it was almost like Kelsey gave her life for Megan.
Megan was one of the first patients to receive the enzyme replacement in clinical trials. She was just 18 months old. She was already starting to show signs of the disease. But as the therapy continued and the months passed, Megan's muscles started to get stronger.
She went from not walking, not being able to put weight on her legs, to crawling all over and pulling herself up onto her legs.
But what most impressed doctors was Megan's heart, which no longer had evidence of disease. The experimental enzyme treatment was working. Today, Megan is a happy 4-year-old.
There you go, babe.
Every 2 weeks for an entire day, Megan receives a transfusion of the enzyme her body doesn't make. Her progress has been remarkable.
How about you jump, Meg? You jump.
You jump, Maggie?
All right. Good job.
Megan walks, a little unsteady at times, but is able to keep up with her sister, Hope. Speaking is difficult, but she's working with a therapist to help strengthen her weak facial muscles.
Group hug?
Because Megan is one of the first people to receive this treatment, doctors don't know if her progression will continue. But her family is eternally grateful that Megan now has a chance to fight for her life in honor of a sister who bravely lost her own.
Mwah.
My goodness, what a story, Tim. You're now joining us from Boston, and so good to see Megan doing well. Is there any testing, any screening that can be done to detect this disease, Tim?
Well, there is testing both prenatally and after birth. If a family wants prenatal testing, it can be done through amniocentesis or villus sampling. There's a rapid screening test available after birth, and now that there is a treatment available and just approved by the FDA, experts are talking about the possibility of making that test maybe part of routine infant screening.
That would be fantastic. What about the cost for this new treatment, Tim?
Well, that's a huge issue. Without any insurance or other support, the cost would be well over $100,000. Obviously, most families can't afford that. Some insurance is paying, government is looking into it, and the company, Genzyme, has said that they will make sure that any child who can benefit from it will get it regardless of cost. That's been true during the studies. We'll see what happens now, but that's going to be a real issue.
That will be a real issue. And Tim, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention, and we wish Megan all the best and her family. Thank you. Coming up next, our new series, Leaving the Nest, expert advice for parents helping their kids strike out on their own. Come on back.
Good Morning America On Call is brought to you by GlaxoSmithKline. Today's medicines, tomorrow's miracles.
I'm Ann, and I'm a GSK scientist. I just started Alzheimer's research when my grandmother was diagnosed. I wanted to hurry up and find a cure. We started working on ideas that no one else had tried. Maybe people don't think we try hard enough, but we believe we'll find the answers. And we're getting closer. What I see in the lab is very exciting. What I see at last is hope.
GlaxoSmithKline. Today's medicines finance tomorrow's miracles.
I went in for nail polish and discovered something just as sleek.
Daisy, daisy, light and dreamy, dip it with chips, it's extra creamy. Spoon it, swirl it, mash it, savor it, dollop on top, it's a family favorite. Do, 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 do a dollop of Daisy. Do, 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 do a dollop. Daisy goes with food and fun. Give a dollop to everyone.
A microdermabrasion offers powerful skin resurfacing. A mini peel offers smooth refinishing. Olay has an at-home treatment. Regenerist microdermabrasion and peel. 2 treatments, 1 system. Dermacrystals and activating serum combined to get significant skin improvement. Stay home. Olay Regenerist at-home treatment. Love the skin you're in.
How hard can it be? You put up a sign, you just wait for the offers to roll in.
Getting the house appraised and the comps.
It becomes a second job.
Covering myself from the legal standpoint.
The money that you think you're going to save, you end up losing. I've bought and sold homes before, and now the first thing I do is call a realtor.
Realtors have the experience to price your home so it can sell for up to 16% more than selling it yourself.
Using a realtor is a smart financial decision.
Get the facts straight about selling your own home. Talk to an agent and be sure to ask if that agent is a realtor, a member of the National Association of Realtors.
Don't try this at home.
Introducing new Diet Ocean Spray. It's 10 times better than diet soda.
More like 100 times.
Well, that's just a figure of speech. I could have said 1,000 times.
Well, you should have. Tastes great, made with real fruit juice, only 5 little calories.
Okay. New Diet Ocean Spray is 1,000 times better than diet soda.
More like 1,000,000.
Where are we going with this? Try Diet Ocean Spray. Real fruit flavor, 5 little calories.
Excuse me, while I slip into something fabulous. My hair color. It's Garnier Nutrice Nourishing Color Cream. Rich, radiant color, because nourished hair means better color. Only Nutrice nourishes with grapeseed and now double the avocado oil. And you know, nourished hair takes color better and holds it longer, root to tip. And grays? Gone. Slip into something fabulous. New Garnier Nutrice. Nourished hair, even better color. Garnier.
No matter what you love, all you need is a Chase Rewards card. Everybody loves to earn free rewards. Find the card you'll love at ChooseChase.com.
Good Morning America's Leaving the Nest is brought to you by Chase. No matter what you love, we have a rewards card for you. Your choice, your Chase.
We're going to start a series which is very timely. It's called Leaving the Nest, something it turns out that more and more of our kids are not doing. This is graduation time, of course. So many kids graduating from college, a rite of passage for many. But instead of striking out on their own, many grads are staying put, coming right back to home. An astonishing 44% of last year's graduates from college still living at home. For tips on how to help your child leave the nest, we're joined by Good Morning America contributor Barbara Corcoran, the founder of the Corcoran Group. This is a tough one, and it's an awkward subject between parents and children. First of all, something better to talk about, or simply to sort of let nature take its course?
Well, nature taking the course will make your children live with you till you're old and gray. Forget about that idea, right? I think the hard part is you want to set up a situation where you can talk to them, and that's taking that first step for parents who are taught to love their kids and help them is a hard thing to do. And I have found from the many emails I've received over time, the single best place to talk to a child is get them in a car and get them moving. They could stare at the windshield, they don't have to look at you, and you could talk to them about what their plans for moving out are.
Yeah, but do you have to do it that way? What are your plans for moving out? Because it sounds, if you do that, as if you're saying, well, I don't love you enough to have you around.
Well, it is, in a way, sounding like you don't love them. How do you love someone and say, but get out? It's contrary.
Yeah.
But it's really the only way to love them and see them go on to their adulthood and live in a meaningful way. So I think making a plan with them and really giving them a deadline and making sure you mean it is the kindest thing in the long run you can possibly do.
One of the other statistics that struck me, in 2004, 52% of young people between the ages of 18 and 24 were living at home. It was only 43% in 1960, 45 years ago. The number of kids living at home, staying at home, is going up. Why do you think that's true, Barbara?
I think it's simply harder for kids to get out on their own because housing's more expensive. Jobs are harder to get. It's not the easy hiring climate that we had back then. And most importantly, parents have enabled children more and more over time. They're doing more for them. And why would you move out when your laundry is done, you're fed a nice meal every night, and you're comfortable in your room? It's simply harder to get out for kids.
Well, you mentioned the jobs. One of the things is, how do you face the financial realities of being on your own? Another statistic that fascinated me.
You have a lot of statistics.
Yeah, this is a couple of years old, but more 18 to 25-year-olds are declaring bankruptcy than graduating from college. Now, that seems just amazing to me. So there's a financial component in this. Kids have got financial responsibilities. They're coming out with credit card debt, et cetera, et cetera. So is there a strategy for letting them deal with that?
Yeah. First of all, kids' credit cards go through the roof. Getting them to replace their credit cards with debit cards so they can only spend what they actually have is a great idea. Sitting down and making a budget with them, starting with what their salary is and working backwards as to what they could afford, is a step that lots of parents don't do, but kids really need help on. It's not natural to know how to budget. Kids have to learn it. So sitting down and establishing a clear budget with them is a great thing to do.
What's better? Is it better to have the kid living at home and taking care of them, or is it better to have the kid out on his or her own, but you're helping them financially because they can't handle the bills?
Truthfully, most parents do help their children financially just to get over that bridge, to get them on their own. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think what's key is that you establish exactly how much help you're going to give them in dollars and cents and for how long. I think that being said, you have to, again, cut it off, give a deadline, and let them go on their own. You know, nothing's more insulting to a child than letting them know that you don't trust that they can provide for themselves. So your kindness, it turns into not supporting their own self-confidence in themselves. So it's a hard thing to do, but as parents, we've just got to kick them in the butt and get them the heck out of the house.
So introduce the subject, talk to them about it, set a deadline, help them financially if it's necessary. Any other things that you should do?
Yeah, you have to address something called medical insurance. Most kids don't even think they're ever going to get sick. If they've gotten medical insurance in college, most parents don't realize that that child can keep that medical insurance forever. There's no expiration date on that. And if they're on your family plan, most children don't realize they could stay on that plan. They're provided by federal law that they can stay for another 3 years. So that's a nice bridge. You have to tell them that kids get sick. Kids don't ever think they're going to get sick. You have to arrange the doctor in their new place or help them arrange it. And very often your own family doctor is the best source to tell you who's a good doctor in the town they're going to be moving to. So I think it's a reality check for children to feel like they have to think of themselves as an adult and what could go awry. And it's an uncomfortable subject, but if you love your kid, and for God's sakes, what house is big enough for you and your kids to live under one roof and doing their laundry? Forget about it. Change the locks and boot them the heck out.
All right. You can find all of Barbara Corcoran's tips at abcnews.com. Thanks, and we'll be back.
Coming up, Good Morning America's Turn Your Outfit into a Room, brought to you by Whirlpool.
There's clean, and then there's deep clean. The direct inject wash system deep cleans even up to 16 pairs of jeans in a single load. The Whirlpool Duet, because there's more to every day than just laundry. Whirlpool, inspired by you.
I'm a curious kind of guy. I want to know how things work, what makes them tick. So I was glad when my doctor prescribed Nexium for my acid reflux disease. I got the purple pill and signed up for Purple Plus, a great program from Nexium. I'm learning what I need to know to manage my acid reflux disease. With the Purple Plus program, I get useful advice, great tasting recipes, even ways to save on my prescription. My doctor said prescription Nexium can relieve my heartburn and heal the erosions in my esophagus that acid reflux caused. So I don't just feel better, I am better. He also said I could still have other serious stomach conditions, and that headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain could be side effects of Nexium.
Ask your doctor if switching to Nexium is right for you. To learn more about Nexium and Purple Plus, call or visit our website.
Mints can trigger heartburn.
If you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
Hey, Ted,
See you next week.
Yeah, see you, buddy.
Bye, Ted. Did you pick up the mail for us?
Yeah, okay.
Have a great weekend, buddy.
Looks like everyone's going away this summer, thanks to the Hotels.com Great Summer Getaway. Our experts have found amazing deals in places like New York, Orlando, San Francisco, and more. So log on or call now. Hotels.com. We know hotels inside and out.
Rise and shine, kids.
They would face any challenge together. But now,
I'll be back, promise.
they must separate to survive. Walt Disney Pictures presents
Good boy, Max. You brought it home.
Disney's Eight Below. Own it on Disney DVD June 20th.
I've lived here all my life. I'm not going anywhere. I've made arrangements for assistance if I need it. I'm a realist. I know I'll be old one day.
Long-term care coverage from Mutual of Omaha Insurance Company.
Higher, Daddy, higher.
Yeah? You want to go higher?
Yes.
All right.
What's up, Jay?
Hey, Dave. Oh!
Hit Dad with something great this Father's Day. Tons of gifts on sale. This week, only at Kmart.
For those who love pistachios, new Planters Pistachio Lovers Mix is made just for you. 50% pistachios, 100% love.
Good morning. This is K2 News, the spirit of the Northwest.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Julia Radlick here with what's making news this morning. The search for two fishermen along the Columbia River kept the Coast Guard and the Multnomah County Marine Patrol pretty busy this morning. Joel Sanguero Ariana and Elil Godinez Guerrera Estras departed the Multnomah Falls area late last evening, on a small inflatable raft. A friend followed them along the banks in his truck and lost sight of the raft about 2 this morning. This sparked a massive search. They were discovered at about 5:30 this morning on Reed Island, which is located near Corbett.
We thought that we reached the border of the river, but we reached an island. We tried to cross it. When we crossed it, there were more water in the other side.
The men were transported by helicopter and dropped off at the 42nd Street dock. Both are doing just fine. A state worker is in hot water after visiting a pornographic website. As a result, more than 1,000 Oregon taxpayers' personal information is at risk of being stolen. An employee inside Oregon's Department of Revenue downloaded porn on a state computer that contained Trojan horse spyware. The hidden program recorded every keystroke on the worker's computer, sending taxpayer information to an unknown location. The Department of Revenue computers have firewalls with antivirus software, but in this case, they didn't help.
This particular piece of spyware was so new when our employee downloaded it that none of the virus protection software that you can get had knew of its existence, and so they didn't block it.
A letter being sent to 1,700 taxpayer states, we believe that your Social Security number may have been sent to the receiving site outside our agency. The employee responsible has since been fired. Your forecast for the afternoon is looking pretty gray and cloudy. We've had a couple of light sprinkles and showers move through the area, and that's going to be the trend throughout the day. A live look from the Hood River Inn in the gorge, and you can see it is cloudy there this morning. On the satellite and radar picture, we have clouds all across the west side of the Cascades. A few showers and thunderstorms are possible in extreme eastern Oregon, thanks to a center of low pressure over there at the moment. Currently, it's in the upper 50s, 59 here in Portland and in Vancouver, 57 degrees in Salem, with cloudy skies in most spots, a little light rain falling in McMinnville, and we do have some haze out at Hillsborough. Here in the metro area, we will see a high of 68 degrees with an increasing chance of showers as we head into the late afternoon and early evening hours. Overnight tonight, there is a chance of light, steady rain as a weak system comes through the region. That continues tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow afternoon, we could get a little bit of a break with partly cloudy skies, but then more rain heads our way late tomorrow night and into Friday. At this point, the weekend is looking fairly nice with partly cloudy skies. We'll have more local news at midday. That's at noon. We hope to see you then.
Oh, that's nice. Isn't that lovely?
It's not like the old one.
I spotted a problem with a birch tree near Doug and Colleen Strom's house.
The tree was decayed and clearly in danger of taking down a power line. So we helped him remove it and even helped him get a new tree.
Well, maybe that one.
Once they decided on one.
If you have questions about trees and power lines, call us, PGE. We do this every day.
This is K2, the spirit of the Northwest. If you're in one of these locations, you may be able to receive a clearer signal by tuning to one of these UHF channels.
Key Home Furnishings and Flex Steel Furniture bring you comfort and style through quality leathers and expert craftsmanship. And right now at Key Home Furnishings, this butter soft leather sofa is on sale for just $12.99 for a limited time. Hurry in now to Key Home Furnishings.
This place has 17 of the hottest clubs and one very cool bar. New South Beach Diet 100-calorie snack bars, 8 grams of whole grain, 3 grams of fiber. Life is better on the beach.
Gathering dining sets are the new choice for casual dining. A taller table matched with bar stools provides a more relaxed comfort. And right now at Key Home Furnishings, our most popular set is on sale for just $7.99 for a limited time. Hurry in now to Key Home Furnishings.
Next, Martha, get your apron and get cooking. She's going to show me the very talented TV star and chef, Courtney Thorne-Smith.
I think you need a little more salt.
Yeah.
If Martha tells you to do it, you just do it.
Her secret to a great meal?
Garlic and salt, and you're pretty much good as far as I'm concerned.
Then, time for dessert.
Everybody wants coconut cream pie.
With celebrity baker John Baricelli.
Okay.
Moving on down. Next, Martha.
Today at 11 on K2, the spirit of the Northwest.
Thank you for watching K2, the spirit of the Northwest.
It's exactly right in a coat and tie here, I'll tell you that. Good morning, America. It's good to have you with us. We got a little summer party going on here in Times Square. A little Caribbean flavor to everything.
A Caribbean dance party, if you will. Could be a little feel of maybe a Caribbean vacation. And speaking of vacation,
I just
Diane
wonder
is
what
on
the
vacation
commuters
today.
walking by here are thinking. What are those people doing?
They're thinking it's New York City, it's Times Square. You never know what to expect. So just to give you some early summer fun, that's what we're doing here.
I can't hear you.
I know. I can see your lips moving. That's about it.
A little segue to summer, actually. When it is summer, there are so many mothers who have a problem. They have daycare because school is in and kids are at school. No problem. But what do you do for daycare during the summer? We got some innovative ideas for summer daycare in a moment.
And, Mom, if you want to decorate your room, Mom, and you don't know how to decorate your room, Mom, and you like what you're wearing, you can actually take your outfit and design your room to look like your outfit. Like, look what she's wearing right there. That can become the interior design of your room, a room in your home, like that. So we'll tell you how you can do that yourself coming up in this half hour.
I could have a whole room in a coat and tie right here.
Basically.
All right.
That's it.
We'll get to all that, but first let's go up to Kate Snow with the news.
Charlie, good morning. President Bush is confident about the future of Iraq. Fresh from his ultra-secret trip to Baghdad, in a White House news conference this morning, the president said he was inspired and impressed by Iraq's new government. He reiterated the U.S. policy is to help Iraqis succeed. A frightening explosion this morning on New York's Long Island. The blast leveled a house and left one person badly hurt with third-degree burns. Officials speculate it may have been a natural gas explosion. Our well wishes this morning to the nutty professor. Jerry Lewis is in a San Diego hospital recovering from a mild heart attack. Just last week, the comedian announced he is returning to live performances after 5 years away. And finally, a turtle who literally grew up surrounded by garbage. Peanut owes her figure, take a look at this, her figure-8 shape from being caught in one of those plastic rings of a six-pack. Officials say the 22-year-old turtle is lucky to be alive. You know, I always wondered if you really are supposed to cut up those plastic rings before tossing them into the trash. Well, yes, you are, and that's why. And that is the news at 8:32. Time now for the weather. And Mike Bars is outside at the party. Mike?
Yeah, a little party out here in Times Square. You never know what's going to happen right here in the middle of New York City. We've got the folks from the Anguilla Tourist Board who have stopped by. Anguilla has a national celebration going on right now, correct? You're celebrating the Queen's birthday. You're in British territory as well. And this is Ricardo who plays the steel drum. Is there any real technique to doing this? I see you've got actually two sticks in the one hand. right?
Yeah, I'm doing the tie-ins.
Doing the try. And this was invented in the Caribbean, correct? Very good. How long have you been playing?
I've been playing over 20 years.
You make it look so easy, Mr. Carter. I appreciate that. And we got somebody over here. What exactly are you doing? Just she's got a little tension right about there. That's the trouble spot you want to get to. Let's get you caught up in the weather real quick, folks. It's a beach party out here after all. And you'll see that heavy rain and flooding are the remnants, rather, of Alberto. He's moving through the Carolinas this morning, especially South Carolina. We'll push out through Virginia a little bit later on tonight. Showers and storms in the northeast and northwest. We'll also have showers and severe thunderstorms are likely in the northern plains. Sunny and hot in the southwest. Florida and parts of the Midwest are forecast to have a few thunderstorms. And that's a brief look at the national picture. Here's what's happening near you.
Good morning, everyone. We're starting off with mostly cloudy skies and a few scattered showers, and it looks like most of the day is going to be this way with gray skies and just a chance of rain. The chance of rain increases overnight tonight and into tomorrow, but we could see a little bit of sunshine late tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, drum solo. Oh, more fun in Times Square in just a little bit, Charlie.
We've turned it into an island. Today in our special series, Mothers Make It Work, we look at how working mothers tackle child care. This is an issue that becomes particularly thorny during the summer when moms are at work and kids are at home. They don't have school. And so with some practical solutions to child care questions, we're joined by our parenting contributor, Ann Plachette Murphy. I have always had a pet theory that if a politician can solve the daycare problem, he or she will get elected to anything.
Hallelujah. I hope you're right, because I think that's one of the things we really have to work on. This is a problem for millions of parents. Every parent who has a cell phone has a child care problem, is my theory. But, you know, at least for school-age kids, this is a real issue in the summer, as you say, because, you know...
Well, let's start with school-age children, because so many parents count on the fact that while they're working, the kids are at school.
Right.
School lets out in June, late May, they're stuck.
Well, let's start with the summer care that is provided by companies, because unfortunately, there are only 8% of companies that do provide child care, but those that do, many of them provide summer camps. So, for example, Citigroup has child care at many of their facilities, and then in the summer, they have a wonderful program for their employees' kids, for kids 6 to 12, so school age. They target school age. And this is also true at a program we found in Illinois, Abbott Labs, which is a company out there, big company, but they have something for tweens, and this is great because tweens are such a challenge. It's called Summer of Service, and it's a volunteer program so that they go to nursing homes and they work with the elderly, or they work in pet care facilities, and they get a great experience, but of course the community really benefits.
Well, you make the point, only 8% of companies have daycare at the workplace.
Right. There are many companies.
At least 92%.
I know, we got a lot of work to do. Now, there are, you know, community programs, but the community programs that are existing often work with employers in the local area. So, for example, there are extended day programs for parents who work the night shift. And if it's a company program, Procter & Gamble is an example of this. Procter & Gamble has a facility in Georgia. It's 24/7. They need 24/7 care for their kids. Right. So they hire Bright Horizons, which is a leader in this field. This is a great company. And the facility, what's nice about it is that it has a real home feel. The kids eat at a dining room table. They sleep there, so the transition isn't hard. But in another community in Minnesota, the Catherwood Home is a 24/7 community service. In other words, it's there for a bunch of businesses. And I think this is something we have to begin to tackle. It's not just the company's problem. It's the responsibility of the whole community.
That's interesting that some companies are banding together.
Yes.
Lots of different businesses are banding together to have a sort of umbrella group. What do you do if you're... Do you need backup? Do you need a primary?
Yes, that's really that's the fastest growing segment, backup care, because for many parents, they have something set up, but then the summer comes and their caregiver goes on vacation, or the kids need an extra, or the caregiver's sick during the year. So this is the most popular option for companies because it's also the